Hello and welcome to today's presentation. My name is Lee Snyder, the application consultant for the Still segment here at Tekla Inc. And I'll be taking you through some of the viewer license functionality that's available with Tekla structures. We've had quite a few folks ask, what can and can't the viewer license do, and what we've done is broken this up into part 1 and part 2 to describe and to explain all the things that you can do with a viewer license. In part 1 we'll discuss the available functionality that's right out of the box. Nothing that you need to do if you purchase the license and you open the model. Here's all of the things that you'll be able to do with the viewer license. Part 2 will cover the functionality that's available through API extranet extensions. So in addition to all of the out-of-the-box functionality, our programmers has also created add-ons or extensions of additional functionality that you can do with the viewer license. So we'll go ahead and begin the presentation today covering part 1. With the viewer license, what you're able to do is view existing models created within Tekla structures. So what I'll do is just open up a Tekla structures model that's been provided to me from the detailer or the fabricator or the engineer or general contractor, and this is what I'll get. I'll have a 3D view here. You notice I'll be able to navigate. I can zoom in and out with the middle mouse wheel, pan back and forth, as well as rotate around the model. So be able to view anything that I need to within the model. So if I come up here and click on this open named view list, so this will tell me the visible views, so it's just this 3D view, and then these are all of the views that have previously been created. So if I wanted to take a look at say for example this plan at elevation on the first floor, it will open up this view here. So I can view those, I can come in and tile those however I want. You'll notice that if I highlight something here in this view, it will also highlight in the 3D view. All the views are linked. So if there was a particular location that I wanted to take a look at, maybe there wasn't a saved view already, I can come in here and actually cut my own view. So if I wanted to create an elevation view, for example, along this stair stringer, just to see what that looks like and what's going on there, I can just click and cut that section. So you can view any saved views, or you can create your own custom views. If I go ahead and close that down, I'll come back here and look into this 3D view. Another thing that you'll be able to do is just create individual views of parts. So if I wanted to, for example, take a look more closely at this beam, I can just select it, right click, and say create either a 3D view of that part or default views of that part. So that'll basically just create a front and top and perspective view of what's going on with that individual piece. Then I can come in and these views will behave the same as far as rotating around as well. Now you will notice also in here this green cone. When I click on that, it highlights the entire connection or component as it's called within Tekla. I can also create individual views of components. So if I wanted to come and create a view, again I'll have these same options, a 3D view of the component or default views of the component, and that will give me the front, top, end views and perspective of that component. So if I wanted to come in here and check some dimensions of these bolts, I would be able to do that. We have a bolt dimensioning tool or just normal dimensions here. So if I wanted to see what this dimension was from the center of the column to the bolt hole, I can just pull that dimension out. Or if I come in and redraw that view, it'll remove that dimension. I can just use this measure bolt tool and say give me the dimensions of the bolts right here in relation to that beam, and then it gives me those. Okay, or I could come in and redraw, do that again, and say give me the dimension of those bolts in relation to the column, and then I have all of that information available there for me. So I'll go ahead and close down those views. Just another visual things that you can do. We also do have a tool that's called the clip plane. So if I wanted to activate that command, I can just select it and just choose a plane that I want this to be anchored to, and then it's just going to behave just like scissors. It's going to cut that information from the model. So if I wanted to see deeper into the model, I could just use that clip plane. Now I can real easily see the vertical bracing there or whatever, and then you can have as many of these as you would want. So if I wanted to come in and add in another clip plane, say, okay, let's just keep cutting from this direction, it will remember all of those. So you can slice and dice the model any way that you would be able to, that you would need to. Okay, so I'll just remove those filters from the those clip planes from the model, and we can come in and talk a little bit about some of the filters. So what we have down here, if you look at this toolbar, are just some simple selection filters. So if you wanted to just to refine, zoom in on a particular area and just locate maybe just the beams or the columns or whatever. Right now, if I just window select an area, you'll notice it's just going to highlight everything within that particular location. But let's say that I just wanted to grab, for example, the beams in a location. I can just load that filter, window over the model, and then those will be the only things that are selected. Okay, so let's say for just another quick example, I wanted to only grab just the columns in a location. I would load that filter. Okay, so you can use existing filters that have already been created, or you can come in and create your own filters. So let's say that I wanted to come in and create my own filter. You can see here the filters again through the drop down that are available, and let's say I want to create my own. I can just click on new filter and I'll just add 3 rows. So you can see the different options. I can grab parts, components, assemblies, bolts, welds, whatever you want, and then all of the different attributes that are associated with those. So a part with a particular profile or grade of material or finish or start number, or class or phase or whatever. You can create filters for those. Okay, and then you can set up the conditions that it does equal this, it does not, it begins with, it does not, however you want to set that up. Okay, so say I want to find a part whose name equals, and if I know the name, I can just type it in, or I can just use this option select from the model, and it will go through and automatically populate it for me. Okay, so I want to find all the parts whose name equal beam, and then I want to find all the parts whose phase equal. If I know the phase, I can just punch it in, or I can just select from the model. So this says these are the beams that are in phase 1. Okay, and then I don't want to select any of the components or bolts or welds or anything like that. So I can just set up another filter to only find parts, and then I can just save this filter as phase 1 beams, save as, and now that's a filter that's available for me. So I can just go ahead and apply that. If I change my representation here, when I window over the model, only the beams that are in phase 1 are going to be selected. So you can create your own filters to find any sort of material that you would want. Maybe all of the pieces in phase 1 that are a certain type of steel, or that are a certain grade of material, or any combination of filters that you would want to use. So I'll just come in and refresh this filter, change my transparency back. Now just as the same works, instead of just selection filters, we also have visibility or visible filters as well. So for example, if I didn't just want to select them, let's say that I only wanted to see braces. Okay, I can load that filter, hit modify, and then it just hides everything else in that view that I'm working on. So here I can also come in and say, let's just show me all of my columns. And the same rules apply, that I can come in and build a filter. The interface is the exact same to find only the columns in phase 13 that haven't been shipped, or whatever information is currently in the model. Okay, so those are the functions for navigating around the model, where you can go in and view any piece that you need, cut any sections, use any filters to really refine down what you want to see, what you want to be able to find. The next thing that we can take a look at are actually looking at more data within the model. So if I come into this column or this beam, any object within the model, I can right click on it and choose Inquire Part. If I inquire on the part, it's going to bring up all of the part information about that piece. So all of the XYZ data, obviously where it's located. It'll show me the center of gravity, the type of steel. It'll show me the assembly position or the piece mark, the length, the weight, the volume, area, all that sort of stuff. what its name is, grade and material, profile, all of the information from the AISC catalog, and then if there's any user-defined attribute information that's assigned to that particular piece. So every piece, if I click on it within the model, has these user-defined attributes, and these would need to be attributes that were previously populated within the Tekla model, so that you can view them if they've already been added within the model. So again, here's all of these different options of things that you would have access to be able to see if they were populated. So that's the inquire. I can also come in here and inquire on the assembly, and what that will do, you'll be able to notice here that it's going to colorize the piece, make the main part. In this case we only have one, it's just a simple beam, but it'll just show you the parts that are also attached to it. So for example, if I come in and inquire on this column, you now can see here that I have the main column shaft is in this orange color, indicating that it's the main part of the assembly, and everything in yellow is everything that's shop attached to it, either bolted or welded. And then here you'll have basically an assembly bill of material for that piece of everything that's attached to it, so that real quickly you'll be able to see that. Okay. A couple of other visibility options that you would be able to come in and hide this if you didn't want to see it. For example, you can just real quickly redraw the view to have it come back, so you can hide or show anything individually that you would want to be able to see within the model. Okay. Next thing that I'll come in and talk about is that you'll notice that I have columns that are a certain color, beams that are a certain color. The way that this is set up right now is that we're viewing the model based upon class. So each class represents a different color. So those are what the colors are indicating to me, just so that I can see more easily the different views. Okay. What you can also do, like we have selection filters and we have display filters, we also have object representation filters, which means that you can change the colorizations of the object to report to you different information or data, so it helps the model tell a story. So again, if I come in here, you'll be able to see these object representation views that are available. So right now I'm viewing this just by standard, or viewing it by the class or the color. Let's say for example that I wanted to come in and colorize this based upon the phases. So if I hit modify, you'll notice here that the phases now are indicated. So real quickly and easily I can see the isolated phases based upon the particular color. Now the reason why I'm able to view these phases are because the phases were added into the model. So if I come here to Tools, down to Phase Manager, I can see all of these phases that currently exist. Okay, so I can just go through and click those. If I change again my representation and I wanted to see, okay, illuminate for me what's in phase 3, I can just highlight the phase, click on Objects by Phases, and that's now illuminated. Then I can do the same for any particular phase. Okay, so I'll be able to view the phases either in the color in the model or just simply by isolating them there. So I'll change my representation back. Close out of the Phase Manager, just show you one other example. As I mentioned, that each piece has user-defined attribute information associated with it. If that information exists within the model, for example, I have the shop status here of this particular piece telling me that it's been painted, then you can see here with the drop down all of the different shop status features that are available. These are some that we just provide out of the box, but Tekla users are taught through training courses how they can create their own user-defined attribute tabs, options, drop downs. So if something's important to you that you want to track, you can add that into the model and be able to write that data and assign it to that particular piece. Once that information exists within the model, then we can come in and colorize the model or run reports, which I'll talk about here in a moment. But let's say that here we just want to colorize the model based upon shop status. So I'll just go ahead and click modify, and you'll notice that quite a few objects here within the model change colors. So if I click on this representation, I'll be able to see what the key is, or what all of these colors indicate. So here in yellow means that it's been scheduled, magenta means that it's been cut, the cyan color is that it's in assembly, it's been assembled, galvanizer painted, completed in the yard, and that it's been scheduled. So all of these different colors again can begin to paint the story, so you can get live status updates of how the project is progressing, where the fabricator is, what's going on in the shop, where the detailing's at, any sort of information that you track within the model. You can then use our filtering capabilities to display that information. Next thing that I'll come in and talk about are running reports. As I mentioned, we can use filters to grab information about particular pieces. So for example, if I come back here to this phase 1 beam selection filter that I created, I can just highlight over the model. Those are the ones that are selected. You can see that easier if I change my representation. And now what I can do is come in and run reports. So up here I can come and click on the create reports icon, and then you can see all of the reports that are available out of the box. Okay. Now, just as I mentioned before, you can create your own custom filters within the model to report and view things that are important or customized towards your workflow. You can also have the Tekla detailer, or whoever sent you the model, whoever created the model, create an own custom report so that you can view the information that's specific to you. So on those beams right there, let's say that I just wanted to run an advanced bill of material on those. I could run it from the entire model, or from selected. If I click on selected, it's just going to give me the information, obviously, about what's selected in the model. So here's my phase 1 beam advanced bill of material information there. Okay. Let's say that I wanted to come in and just change this to the steel columns, and I'll just window an area there. So I could also come in and run an assembly list bill of material just from those pieces that are selected. So here I have the piece mark and everything that's shop attached to that. Okay. So then I can scroll down here. So there's a whole ton of information. If I turn this filter off, and then I just had a bunch of pieces just randomly selected, I could also come in and just run a material list. Say just create this from that selected area, and what this will do is that it will find all of the different profiles and then group them together. So here's the 24 by 55s, the different quantities, lengths, and weights, and then a total down at the bottom. So real quickly I can get this information. Now you can view these reports in Tekla's standard report viewer, or you can export these to Microsoft Excel or in HTML format, however you would prefer. Okay. One last thing that I'll show you here, a couple other of these, is that you can also come in and run bolt reports. So if I run a bolt report on the selected area, it will give me the total number of filled bolts, the shop bolts as well if there were any, and then a total down here. And you can also enter in a percentage to this report so that that's calculated to account for field waste and things that typically happen on a project. So again, run any reports that you want. Any information that's within the Tekla model you can extract through reports or manipulate through filters or colorization. All that needs to happen is that the information needs to be within the Tekla model. So I'll change my representation back here and move away a little bit from the model. Those are a lot of the main things that you can do within the model, and we'll go into actual drawings. So here, any drawing that was previously created is going to be stored within this drawing list. So you can see I just have a couple of drawings here already within the model. If I shrink this down and zoom out, then I'll be able to show you the interaction between the drawing list and the model. So again, if I change my representation within the model, and I wanted to find out where this beam of B52 was, I can just click on select objects, and it will illuminate those for me within the model, so I know that there are 7 objects there. Okay, so the reverse also works the same, is that if you were looking in the model at a particular piece and you wanted to see, just show me what drawing that is, I can just highlight it in the model, select by parts, and it will filter everything else out for me. So then I can remove that filter and just click on show all, and everything will be there available for me. So if you're in the model, you can isolate the drawing. If you're in the drawing, you can isolate the objects within the model. So here, let's just double click on this particular drawing and open this up and just show you a couple of workflows that you can do and why it's important that you have access to the drawing. So here you can see this piece, the bill of material already exists. You can view this in color or in black and white just by using a selection on your keyboard. But you'll notice here that we didn't locate where this shear plate was. There's no running dimension or anything like that. I have a section, and you also notice that the weld information is gone. So this is real nice if you're a fabricator and you're in the middle of fabricating something and you don't have time you can't get a hold of the detailer, or you don't have time to submit an RFI or whatever. What you can do is just, you'll notice up here our dimensioning tools. So let's just say I want to dimension from the end of the beam to the connecting side of this shear plate. I can click and place that dimension. And then you can come in obviously and customize any dimension style that you want. So if you the guys in the shop prefer running dimensions, you can just do that there. Then over here within this particular section view, we don't have any weld information, so you can come over here to weld, and let's say that you just want to see the workshop welds. Hit modify there. It pulls in the weld. Okay, so you add in that, so now you know it's 3/16 near and far side. Okay, now you have the information to continue on your way. So within the viewer license, it is a read only. You don't have the option to save the model or to save the drawings. But there's a couple of options that you have here, is that you can actually come in and print this drawing. So if you wanted to just print this and make a PDF of it, so I'll just go ahead and select my printer, the size, visible area, or entire drawing. Just click on print, and then we'll go through and PDF that guy for me. So then here, if I come over to my documents, I can see now this B52 with the added running dimension and the added weld. So you could send that back out to the shop, relay that information, and they can keep going. And then you could send that information to the detailer saying, hey, add these, submit a revised drawing, so that you have a record set available for record keeping purposes. Okay. Another thing that you can also do is that in addition to creating a PDF, is that you can also export this and create a DWG or DXF of it as well. So if you wanted to open in AutoCAD or something like that, you would also be able to do that. When you create those or export those, those are contained here within the model folder. So we can just come in and isolate those. So again, here's this B52 beam drawing that I can then open with a DWG or DXF viewer. So I'll close and close that drawing. We can come in and take a look at a couple others to show you some other features and functionality. So here you'll notice that I have this piece fairly well dimensioned, but for example the detailer left off a section. So I can come in here, just activate the section command tool, just cut a section, say this is the area that I want to be able to see, place that dimension there, and again I can come in and quickly add in dimensions. So I could do a dimension like here and just real easily locate these areas, okay, if I want. But another nice tool that just real quick and easy if you want to dimension those pieces is that we have some built-in dimension tools that you can use. So say I want to dimension these pieces in relation to this beam and run my dimensions from the center there. So we'll come in now, add in those. You can drag those over just to make it more clear, whatever. And then obviously, just like I showed in the previous example, you can come in, turn on the workshop welds or the site welds or whatever, and those will show up just as before. And then you can print this, export it, or at least just have the information that you need to go along your way. So I'll just close this drawing, select yes. And this covers the main out-of-the-box features available in a viewer license. As I mentioned previously, part 2 will cover the extensions that are available that you can use with the viewer license in addition to this information. So we invite you to stay tuned to part 2. Thank you.